One of the pleasures of being a portrait photographer are the often fascinating conversations we have with our subjects. In this short film, I share my conversation with the painter, Tim McFarlane.
I could be thinking about like what I'm going to have for dinner, like what's happening in politics, I could be thinking about some old memory or something like that. I'm Tim McFarlane, and we're in my studio in the Crane Arts Building in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. At first, the first thing that comes to me for making a painting is that I'm involved in like the composition, color, shape, form, and everything, more formal things. What it might mean or whatever, that comes later on. Abstraction or non-objective work allows you wider range of ideas that you can play with. In terms of like form, in terms of color, you're freed from, having to, like depict something that someone's going to recognize. You're freer to engage with ideas that that aren't necessarily going to be easily picked up right away. It's interesting because I choose my colors just kind of, I don't know, I just start somewhere, and a lot of times it's like, I'm reacting to what I've done before, so like it's a combination of like, cool against warm, dark against light, all sorts of things, and I'm always mixing colors. It's rare that I use a color like straight out of a tube. So I'm always looking for different variations on different colors and how they're, working with each other or working against each other. So this is something that I've been working on probably like for the last year or so. I work with acrylics, and I use rags to wipe my my palette knives, my brushes, and everything, aside from my pants too. And so I have all these collections of rags that I used, and it occurred to me not too long ago, to why not use these, in some way, make them, bits of art. Mm-hmm. So that piece that's right behind you there, I glued together several different rags. There's probably 8 or 9 rags, that I glued together with acrylic medium. And, and then I started painting on them. And I've been just trying to find a way to engage with mark making and building up surfaces of color without using brushes. A lot of my work is kind of, first of all, based off of things I see around me in the environment. Walking around Philadelphia, looking at the human intervention on surfaces. So you have graffiti, so someone throws up a tag, someone else will buff that out, someone else will throw up another tag, a poster might get repasted up, and then somebody will start tearing down the posters on top of that. So you start seeing these anonymous lives coalescing in the public space or semi-public space. And when you look, you see bits of graffiti, you see bits of a movie poster or a band poster or something like that. And so there's this almost communal memory there. I think I'm trying to grapple with the passage of time to a certain degree and a human life. I don't know if I'm trying to find myself or anything like that. It's not about that, but it's really just, I think some of it it goes back to that innate human need to say I was here to a certain degree. You asked me what I'm searching for, in my work, with my work, and I really a lot of times I don't know. You know what I mean? There's no certain thing. There's no certain place I'm trying to get to, I think, consciously. But at the same time, there is this journey that has to happen, that I feel that needs to happen. But I don't know where it's going. Yeah, you know, like when I have something and I feel good about it, about where it landed, I'm like, yeah, okay, cool, you know. But I'm usually like, I don't stay there too long, because like halfway through making something, it's like my head is already moving towards the next thing that I'm, you know, that I'm thinking about possibly making. The work itself, that's the thing that keeps me going. Because, and I tell students this all the time, you know, younger artists, you know, it's like, if you don't have it in here, like if you can't keep the work going, like when nobody's looking, when, you know, you don't have any money, you know, you're barely scraping by or whatever, you know what I mean? You really need to have that life force in you for the work itself. That art is a continuum. That there is a constant learning. There's always curiosity. I think it's more or less, it's a lifelong thing. It's a marathon.